Well, Mimika, it is a real pleasure to have you here, and really looking forward to this conversation. I know that video in particular is something that is always of great interest to our audience, and I know you're an expert in that area, so really looking forward to getting some of your insights on video, and maybe I know you've got a few other areas of expertise on branding, and so maybe we can dive into that, but definitely interested in focusing on video and learning from you more about that.
Definitely. Well, I'm excited to be on your show, and I know you and I have been in contact for over a year now. I think as you've been building, I think if we can, I'm excited to be able to host my own courses on the platform and see how you guys are building out the systems behind there. So yeah, definitely be excited. Definitely. Well, it all really starts with the why, right? Why are you doing what you're doing? You need to decide on what is the purpose of you doing your business. So if we know we're mostly talking about online courses, you want to be able to, position yourself as an expert. You want to be able to, capture your knowledge and then sell it in a content basis. And the reason why I love video so much is it's the quickest way to be able to connect, engage, and convert your clients or prospects and leads into actual sales and actual clients, because you just need to Google on video marketing, why video marketing, in the stats are there, like 80% better conversions, 32% better like signups, like say if you're doing a webinar. The thing about video is it's the next best thing to then meeting someone in person and shaking their hand, because a lot of us can have hide behind text, or even a still image tells a story, but it still doesn't show who you are as a person. And as we know, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And why I love video, it's the quickest way for you to get to know, like, and trust me, because you can hear my voice, you can see the inflections in my body language, you can get that sense of who I am much quicker than any other long form sales letter or any blog post I can write. It just is the quickest way to connect. And of course, nowadays, in today's fast moving technology, we want to be able to find those ideal clients so we can service them and offer them, whether we are a coach, a consultant, an entrepreneur, a course designer, creator. That is really what it is. And of course, now if we're talking about courses, excuse the pun, we are, people are primarily, 80% of people are visual learners. So we tend to absorb more things that we can see and hear at the same time. As if you're reading something, you remember being back at school, right? You could read from a textbook, but you would have to, either for me, I'd have to draw pictures or speak it out loud for me to actually get to remember it. But when you do video, you are definitely engaging an audience, and they are able to, really take the content in that you're teaching them. So, and there are different formats, and we'll definitely go into it. Like as a first format, this is one of the things people always tell me, well, I don't want to do video because, I haven't lost those 20 pounds, or I haven't got my hair perfect, or, I hate the sound of my voice on camera, and I don't know, I don't have fancy equipment, I don't have a big budget to buy a fancy camera, or I don't have a lot of time to sit and edit it. And all those objections I can definitely answer and say that you just don't have to make a big production. Just start with what you have and start small. Like anything we do in business, we start with baby steps, we get a little better, then we little grow, and then we up our ante a little. And that's why I'm really passionate about helping, online experts and entrepreneurs get over that fear of being on video. Because, the stats have proven that, by using video, especially in the industry we're in, is so much better to be able to convert and attract. Like, even if you want people to buy your course, having yourself speak on video is far much more engaging. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that your results will be so much better. So there are definitely levels to, giving you a good video strategy, but we definitely we can chip at them one step at a time.
Yeah. It's something you said there that I love, is that about building trust and that ability to build trust through video. And I've actually recently really started to recognize the tie between everything in trust to everything in terms of the way you're selling. In particular, pricing. We do get a lot of questions about how to price courses, and I know it's a little bit of a deviation here from video discussion, but I find that the higher you can price your course, those higher ticket items are actually built less on how long your course is or even what's in it, and more in how much trust have you built in your audience. And if video is, as you're saying, and I agree with you, a great way to do that, I think that really can actually up the ante and bring up that perceived value of your product. So that's a great way of looking at it, of building trust.
So like if you are wanting to launch a course, okay, and this is something we can even go into further detail, email marketing and getting people to sign up, however you decide to sell your course is one thing. But even if you have a simple sales page, sometimes the conversion is so much better than simply just having like the title, a video that you can explain what's in your course, and a buy button. I know it sounds really like, well, shouldn't I have all the fancy this and the fancy that? And a lot of the time, if you can actually connect with someone, you're making that eye contact, you're looking at the camera, you're speaking from the heart, they can hear you, they will buy something based on whether they like you more than on just the value or the content in your course. And like you mentioned, these high ticket items are sometimes not sold on the number of hours or the number of modules or how many bells and whistles you could throw at them. It's the perception of value, and value is greatly perceived by that, again, the trust factor and what they feel like they're getting from you. So if you are one of those course creators that likes to give a ton of content, you want to be able to show that in part of the sales process. So before someone's even bought your course, you need to sort of reverse engineer the process and think, how can I get people to trust me, so that you take them along the process, because it's a journey to be able to get to that buy button, that they feel like it's a good investment. So it really, and like simple things like having a video on a sales page or having a video on a thank you page. Like an example, like I'm going to be testing doing webinars, and I have done them in the past as well. But say this example, start with Facebook ads. You're going to drive traffic to a landing page. You're going to give them some form of content that maybe it's like one of the modules you teach in your course. You're going to give this to them for free. On the landing page where they get to sign up for the webinar, you're going to talk to the camera and tell them what it is that's going to be involved in the content, why they need to sign up for the webinar, and you're going to give them a reason to stay on, whether you decide to offer a gift or a discount, or whatever it is that you decide to structure it. But it's going to make it far more easy for you to convert for people to give you their email addresses if you have that video. And then again, once people have signed up, another tip I love to give people that course creators is on your thank you page, again, have a video and give another reason for them to hear you speak, to hear what your message is, reinforce what it is you're teaching them, give them a little bit of a content. Maybe it's like, I like to give people, if you're going to be on the webinar, make sure to download my tip sheet so you can have your internet connection. Here are some, fill in the blanks. People love like worksheets, things like, what titles or things we're going to cover in a space for them to write their notes. Any kind of homework you can give them is great. And then of course things like using video to convert sales, like webinars we mentioned earlier, where you actually live on camera. And then again, when you're selling course content, it's not saying that all your course content should be you on camera, but I definitely would advise at least having your intro and maybe your video about what the course is about, of you speaking to camera. And then, of course, the video is also considered voiceover, like if you are capturing your slides and you're creating course content based on screen sharing. And having your voice, that's also considered video, but still primarily, I think, getting people on camera, making that personal eye connection, it's just so much easier than all the money that you could spend at fancy copywriting. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think definitely in our decreasing attention span era, I know you see some of these long form sales pages, and apparently they do work, and I think there is definitely value in doing them, but I also think that we do a lot of skimming. And so what you're relying on, I think, in these long form sales pages with lots of copy is that people are going to pick up a little bit here, skim a bit, pick up a little bit here, focus on a nice image here, and then maybe if there's an embedded video, watch that video. But I think once they click that video, you're actually getting much more absorption of information, so you can actually deliver that message once and see them actually absorb everything that you're delivering in that video, as opposed to hoping they'll pick up 20% of your copy when they're reading it.
Definitely. And I think the old form sales letter, definitely agree, it does work. But the reason was, it was that subconscious perception of value. The more stuff I can share on the sales page, the more there is to read. You think, oh, there's a lot of content in there, and you're basically having a sales conversation. And I'm not saying you must totally get rid of copy. I come from the school of thought of, marrying the two, like have your sales copy, but then have a video of you explaining it, then give them some more copy, because, not all people learn and absorb information the same way. Even though primarily a lot of us are visual, a lot of people still prefer to read. I know some people even say, I hate to watch videos. So I'm like, okay, videos. And I would say, if you prefer to read, you are more of a writer and a blogger, then that's great, continue writing. So another great way of using videos, and I found this with great results, is using testimonials from your existing clients. Like say if you do a test run, whether you do a beta launch and you get people to try out your course, that's a great way to get those testimonials. If you can give people small wins and have them share that with you on video, it's so much more believable. Because I bet you a lot of you would agree, I've seen them myself, sales pages of someone's picture and someone's name in caps, like in quotes. So-and-so says, my course is fabulous because it sends you to the moon. And you're like, yeah, right, I'm sure they made that up. Where if you have somebody's video, as simple, and I'd even say it doesn't have to be totally produced. The less it's produced, the more authentic and real it looks, the more believable it is. I know I've tested this too, Mike. Instead of the fancy edits, all I do is I have, one of the courses I teach is how to actually get confident on camera, and just by simply using your iPhone, that you can get somebody who's had an experience with your course, hold up their phone, speak to camera and say, hi, I love Mamika's course because I now am an astronaut and I can fly to the moon. You basically have given a transformation. Yeah. And now if you embed that video testimonial on your page, it will drastically increase your conversion. So yeah, that's what's there.
Great. Testimonials have worked amazingly well for me. In fact, it was one of the first big successes I had with my own online course, and this is going back 8 or 9 years now, but I started with a few written testimonials, and it was nice, good copy on the page, but I didn't notice a significant bump in the conversion rate. Actually, no, that's not true. I did notice a bump in the conversion rate, and that's what incentivized me to go and push testimonials further. And then I went and shot a series of video testimonials. We put them out on YouTube. We put them all over our landing pages. We even put them out there as reviews of our course. And it was amazing how much search traffic found it as a review of our course because we had this great video, and they would watch it. And even though it was posted on a page that had our branding all over it and said, this is our interview with one of our customers, for some reason, because it was a video, people perceived it as if it was genuine, authentic, and completely unbiased and not produced by us. It felt like they were going to an unbiased review site. Now, it was a genuine review, but something about the video turned it into, I did a lot of searching and I found a bunch of reviews, and I've basically talked to a bunch of people about your product, and I'm really excited about it now. So it almost removed our bias from the situation by just having that person deliver the message themselves, which was great.
Exactly. If it comes straight out of a customer's mouth, it's much more believable. And because just like why Amazon reviews work very well, like if you're going to buy a product, you read the reviews first, right? Because it's more believable than all the sales hype. Yeah. And I think the way that online business is run now, people are so over the online nonsense, right? We just see through that sort of sales hype, and nobody sells like that anymore. It's more about being genuine and authentic, and the more layers we can remove. We talked about this before we started recording. Is I have my own interview show called Mamika TV on Blab. Now, when I started this in 2013, was before the likes of Blab and live streaming was out, but coming from a TV production background, I worked as a on-air TV broadcaster. I was trained to use live video, and when I started my show, the first couple of episodes, I actually hired a production company to do all the live edits for me. So just like we're talking now on Skype. They did all the mixing, they added the lower thirds, the titles at the bottom. They made sure the sound was good. It looked fabulous. But at $300 an episode, that wasn't sustainable. I just couldn't do that. And I realized very quickly from listening to my audience that it's not about the fancy bells and whistles. It wasn't about the fancy lower thirds and the edits and the music and the lighting. It was about the content. So as I've gone along the way, I've stripped all the perfection layers. Before Blab came out, I was doing a lot of these Skype interviews and had an editor who I still use for my videos, totally perfect my show. But since the likes of Blab has come out, now I don't even use an intro. I literally just start the conversation because people will hang around for good content. So even if you have a sort of not a perfect camera, or maybe, I've got to say sound quality can be annoying, but even if it's not perfect sound, yep. If you've got great content, people will stick around and people will buy what you have to offer. So we don't have to think, and I know a lot of them are like, well, it's fine for you. You've got video experience. I'm like, well, that's why I'm teaching you the easy hacks. Is you don't have to make it complicated, and anybody can start it. If you can have a conversation on a telephone, you can do that on video. So there are easy ways to get around it. And nowadays, the barrier to entry is so low. Equipment is like super cheap. Like to have a really great lighting is $120. Or to have a decent mic, like I use the Blue Yeti here on a stand, that's also like $70. like 5 years ago, you were looking at least $5,000 for a, you know, a whole video setup kit. So yeah, that's definitely can't be an excuse. Definitely. Well, as a first step is, I'd say, use what you have available. And for most of us is our smartphone, right? Nowadays, if you like, I have the 6S, and of course the video quality in these phones, let me give you an example. The video quality in the new 6S is a 4K, which means it's 4,000 pixels. If you just put it in perspective, that is the kind of quality that you could create a Hollywood video. Yeah, it's that clear and that crisp that, you know, you don't have to have a fancy professional grade quality camera. You literally just need to use your phone. Now, when I do part of my course, I teach us, say for instance, if you're using Periscope or you're using the phone, it's just to have a very easy add-on, like a little USB. I'm thinking I don't have one in front of me right now. Is an additional mic, like a lapel mic.
Yeah. Because
we got to remember, like people, you know, will connect with you on video, but if you have awful sound, it's like, you know, nails on a chalkboard. People are like, I can't listen. They can put up with a scratchy looking video, but the sound quality is actually more important than the actual video quality. Right. But saying that, as a starter, use your smartphone, and the lighting you can use is free. It's called natural light. All you need to do is, if you're indoors, face the light source. It's really not that hard. Like, and a lot of people do make this mistake where they want to create videos, but they have the light behind them.
Yeah. Oh, you mean
and what
like
that
that
does,
one right there?
well, kind of like what you have is a very good example of what not to do. You have a very bright light because instead of focusing on your face now, people's eyes are naturally drawn to the hot spots and the lights behind you.
Yeah.
So really what you want to do, if you're in a room that has windows, is turn to face the light where your face is illuminated. And in your instance, if you don't have a window, it's just to pop a desk lamp in front of you, because at the end of the day, video's connection is made through the eyes. If you know, like if you see video, like most of us, if you have a conversation with someone at the coffee's bar, you're having a conversation, you know, you look at the person, you look away, and it's not really distracting. But when you put a camera on someone, it's like a magnifying glass. You see everything. Like you're looking at the thing in the background behind me, and you're seeing the line of the wall. And like for you, we've got, you know, the lights behind you, and even the angle of the camera is looking a little up, so it distorts the size of the microphone. The microphone looks huge, but it's only because of the way the camera sees it. Yes, so these are the things we don't think of.
No, it's not going to work.
You're going to have to, and even for that, I'd say elevate your computer where you want to have your camera, like if you look at the camera, you don't want down here. It's not very flattering. Eye level is better, but even just slightly up, looking down at you, is especially more flattering for us ladies. It's very slimming. But yeah, so definitely these little things, you know. The camera picks up everything, so you want to make sure that you can remove as many distractions for your viewer as possible. So like for me, I used to have a lot of things in the background, and I had books, and then even people were saying, oh, what's that book behind you? And I'm like, hello, listen to me, forget about the book titles.
Yeah.
And I had wall art behind me, but I found that was distracting too. So again, peel away the layers. You don't need fancy studio, you don't need fancy anything. You can just use daylight and say, like, using your smartphone facing a window, as long as you can stabilize it and hold it still.
Yeah.
And again, the lapel mic, the one I use is the Movo lapel mic. It's like $19 on Amazon. Okay. You can get a selfie stick. You can get a tabletop tripod for $10. So you could get, you know, very easy started with videos for like $30.
Okay.
You know, if you wanted to bump it up a little. Now, of course, if you want to step it up and make your videos look and sound more professional, then you want to go for something like what we call continuous lighting. Now, I've been a photographer for years, and I have what I call studio flashes. You know, you press the light and it flashes, but that doesn't work so well for video. So what I do is I have a continual lighting setup. So like right in front of me, I actually have a ring light, also like $120 on Amazon. And what it is it stays at the same color temperature and at the same lighting. So as you can see, the lighting isn't changing on my face, where if I'm using daylight lights, you know, the sun goes behind the clouds and sometimes it dips, and then the color, your camera's trying to adjust from like a blue to a green to orange, and you can kind of see those differences.
Right.
So having a continuous light source is far more reliable, especially if you live in places like Alaska and you shoot videos at night. You want to be able to give yourself the option to, again, the rule of thumb is, can you see my eyes? Yeah. Can you see the color of my eyes? Like even for you, Greg, we could add a little bit of a lift in the lighting. Add some lighting in front of you where you want to see. If you can't see the color of my eyes, then there's that connection it kind of like looks a little dodgy. You know, when you see somebody and they're hiding their eyes, it's the trust factor that
Yeah.
It's funny, it's built in our brains from when we're babies that you need to make eye contact with someone to actually read them.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, eye contact is important. So in terms of equipment, it doesn't have to be expensive. Then of course, if you want to really up the ante, you can do like, you've got a whole production studio, but most people don't have that. But again, it depends on where you're at with your business, what you're doing and what you're teaching in your courses, and what it is you're delivering to your student. Well, my advice for using cameras is, of course, the new Macs that have come out, you can use a built-in camera, but the problem is you can't control it if you leave it on auto. So there's certain things you can do. Number one, if you don't have an external camera, you can definitely download these little apps. Like the one I use, there's in the App Store on a Mac, is Eyeglasses. The one that I love to use a lot is called Webcam Settings. And what that does is you can drag and with the sliders, you can fix the saturation, you can fix the exposure, like if you're in a really dark room and you need to bump up the exposure. So that's as a basic, and I think that's like maybe $5.99, or I'm not entirely sure how much it is, but having these little apps helps. And I'm not sure about whether those are available in PC, but one thing I definitely highly recommend, and this is what I'm using right now, is I use an HD USB webcam, and I use the Logitech. Now, the newer version is called the C930, because the C910 was actually the one that's compatible with PC and Mac, and the C920 is actually only compatible with the PC, which is why we have the 30. So I would just say, look, search for, like, whether you use Amazon or any online store, HD, because you want it high quality, because the higher the quality, you can always downsize later. And having a USB is far better in terms of the end result. So the Logitech is great, but anytime you can go HD or a higher quality, I'm all for using that. And I think that's about it's over $100, I think, is the webcam.
Yeah, depending on I've got one as well, and I think I got mine for 60. So if you look around, you can often find some good deals on them. Strangely enough, I'm not using it right now. I'm just using the camera on my laptop, but I'm gonna have to break that out again and start using it again, because it is actually a great little camera.
And once you've got over that fear factor, and then you can start looking at, what do you want to do to make your videos look professional, which is part of the course that I teach on Thinkific at courses.mamikakuni.com, is what my signature project is called the Video Creators Hub. And what I do then is, a lot of people say, okay, well, we've got window light down. Now, how do I make it look more professional? How do I use better lighting? And I show you the different sets, everything from how to set up a 3-point lighting system, to get that sort of Apple white background look, to using the tools that you have. We do cover things like, using your smartphone. But again, it's always go back to why. Like, why are you creating these videos and what are they for? And if you have the budget and the time to make them a higher quality, I always advise that you do, because it's easier to be able to reuse things that you create. Like we're going back to what we mentioned about a video on a thank you page. You can keep that really generic and just use the same one over and over and over. And then, of course, as you get more fancy, you can do more things like screen captures. I still revert back to ScreenFlow. A lot of the video editing I do my own is still iMovie. I have the fancy software, but sometimes I find it's just so overcomplicated that I don't have the time to mess around with another software, that I just really keep it simple. But if you can record your videos at the highest quality with the best lighting you can get, it will make editing and post-production, especially with sound as well, so much easier. Because I had this issue, I know this is when I got involved with creating videos the first time about 2 years ago, and I had problems with the sound not syncing, and then it just creates more of a cost. So just think about however you can create your content out the door at the best quality you possibly can is definitely advisable. Yeah, but we live and learn. That's the whole fun. And that's the thing is so what about perfection? It might not be perfectly lit, but if we're talking about great content that someone can use and it can be useful to them, all the better. So yeah, great proponent with starting with small. Excellent. Perfect the small things and then move on to the bigger things.
Excellent. Yeah, and we'll put links to some of those things that we've mentioned that people can pick up. I'm actually interested in that lav mic you mentioned. We'll make sure we reference those here as well.
And if you go to my website at mamikakuni.com, on the homepage you can sign up for my video toolkit, and I actually send you, it's a PDF I've created of how to set up your lighting. Like, it's because I do a lot of my interviews on Blab, so I cover like what to do, what not to do. Like, in other words, do not have a light behind you, have it in front of you. little things like that. I have little interview setup guides for Blab and Periscope. So just go to mimikacooney.com, as in MIMIKACOONEY.com, and you can grab it there. Well, Blab is a live streaming platform. So kind of like where Google Hangouts and Periscope got together and got married and had a baby, they called it Blab. Now, the reason why I love it is it's a lot more usable than Google Hangouts, because there were a lot of restrictions and people had problems with the call quality. Okay, it's still in beta, so they're still working on it. And sometimes we do have, people like, for instance, I interview someone who's used to having their webcam settings set for Skype.
Yeah.
For some reason, Skype and Blab don't talk so well, so you have to have one or the other open. But the reason why I love Blab is now my show is on Blab. It's completely live, so anything goes, right?
Yeah.
But what is great about that is, like, when you're doing a pre-record, like now we're doing a pre-record, it's basically a conversation between you and I. No one else is listening until they get to hear the replay.
Right.
But with Blab, because it's live, your audience can listen to you right then and there. They can take part in the conversation, because like a webinar format, you have the comments on the side where people can actually ask questions. They can connect with other people. You can directly put links, which is a big plus, which is why I'm doing Blab versus just podcasting, because someone's on their computer watching you. You can directly link them to sign up for your tools, or sign up your email list. You can do that directly on Blab. And even, you could use Blab almost like a webinar format too, where people are on live, you can take questions. And then the nice thing about that, it's connected to Twitter, which means it's also totally halved my promotional effort. So I can literally click two buttons, sorry. Click the blue button, then click to tweet, and it automatically blasts the link of that interview, both before, during, and after the interview.
Excellent.
So it really helps in getting your message out there. And not just that, I've been able to connect with people on a far quicker level because they get to see me on video.
Yeah.
And interviewing people on my own show has been great because it's opened me up to their audiences. And then I've been able to, really find a direct correlation that every time I do a Blab, it directly affects my email sign-up rate. So for me, I'm all about emails. Like, how many email can I get in a conversation? Because I feel, we can have a conversation now, but unless I can keep the communication, the relationship going through email, it's really hard to make the connection. So I've definitely found a great result. And even now, you look at what I did 3 years ago, starting with live and doing it all perfect.
Yeah.
Now Blab is very basic. I don't do I have a fancy intro or fly-ins or lower thirds. I'm working on figuring how to do that. But again, it's the content.
Yeah.
People are showing up because the people I'm interviewing are offering great content, and that's what's useful.
Great, excellent. So how do you get the emails out of Blab, or are you?
You can't. It's literally people sign up through their Twitter account, so you have to be on Twitter.
Yeah. And
then when someone joins Blab, it's free to join, but literally you have a Twitter account, so whatever your name is on Twitter will become your Blab username.
Yeah.
And then so they sign in, it'll be under their Twitter. So the only way you can really reach them is to give them a call to action. Like for everyone, I always say go to my website and sign up for my freebies, which is the way that I can relate to people taking action. I put the link in the comment section. Yeah. And then usually what happens is after a Blab, if someone hasn't met me before, they start to be curious.
Yeah.
So they'll click on my Twitter feed because it'll open up a Twitter profile. And again, there's a link to my website. So again, you've got to be active and solicit people to take action, which is important on video. Tell them what to do. Yeah. And then have your links. So always know where you want people to send. Otherwise, it's pretty useless. So that's the only downside. But again, it's about privacy, right? People, they want to be able to just grab your info without your permission. So
that's the part I've struggled with, and I guess it's that trade-off, because with the webinar, when I invite people to the webinar, even before they come, I've got their email. Everyone who's there, I can see who's there. I can follow up with them afterwards, have an autoresponder campaign. But the attendance will probably be much lower because I know with the Blab, people can pop in at any time. It's live. Anyone who comes, you can ask them to invite their friends and their followers. So that's an excellent factor. But if people can just jump in midway through, join into it. But I think you're right. You really have to be proactive about how are you going to extract those leads, because you can run a Blab with 1,000 people on it, but if you don't give them somewhere to go or a way to grab that email, so I think that's great, and that you're sharing links and you're constantly giving them that place to go to grab that email from them.
Definitely.
Great. Excellent. So you've mentioned it, but I think the best place to go to learn more about you is mimikacooney.com. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. So I'm at mamikacooney.com. You can, my homepage is always going to have the recent, I'm always constantly updating my toolkit, but it's a really valuable resource. Will help you set yourself up on Blab, as well as, some tools I give you about other things I use for, basic lighting. And then if you want to see the kind of courses I teach on Thinkific, my address is courses.mamikacooney.com. And that's also, everything is hosted on Thinkific. And I primarily teach you how to make videos. So definitely go ahead and grab those and get on my email list. I'll give a ton of content. I'll be sending you regular emails about our Mimiki TV shows, so you can learn more there.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And a pleasure speaking with you again. And hopefully we can do this again soon. Maybe we'll do a Blab.
Yes, that'll be awesome. I look forward to it. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks, Mamika.